kicked out of the business I helped build only to watch my sister and her fiancé take over when my father fell ill. He realized his mistake and begged for my return just 8 months ago. My father's business, which I, a 36-year-old woman, was forced out of, puts things in perspective. I have been working for the family business for almost 12 years. On my father's side, my grandfather founded our jewelry company, which subsequently passed to my father. I then anticipated that it would become mine, since I am the older sister. I have always had a strong interest in the industry. My father has always told me that he would eventually expect me to take over the company because my 33-year-old sister did not seem to be interested in pursuing a career. Even when I was a teenager, all she wanted was to marry and start a family. That meant I would be the one to receive a role in the business if he did. Furthermore, it has always been considered a given. I guess I should have made arrangements for something along those lines since I had worked as my dad's personal assistant for a full 12 years. Even though there isn't any official paperwork or anything, I even left my first job after only 2 years of employment because I didn't want to appear conceited and because I wanted to gain some real-world experience before working with my father. Fiancé. I left because my father wanted me to start working for him, and despite everything I had done, I was still dismissed from the company in favor of my sister and her absurdly wealthy fiancé due to a few very poor choices she had made. She had not even been a part of the family for the previous 15 years, as my parents had chosen to remove her from the family as soon as she turned 18. She declared that she wanted to travel and discover who she was and that she would not be attending college. My parents did not take well to that and told her to either leave or go to college. They had given her an ultimatum, and she, being the kind of person that she is, decided to leave and move in with her boyfriend at the time. They did not last for long, and they broke up within 6 months. Then she showed up at our doorstep once again, requesting to be let back into the family. Before she had left, she had said a lot of awful things to my parents, like how she did not need them anymore and how she was better off without a family like this. She had really put us down and completely insulted and humiliated us before she left. When she came back, my dad told her that the conditions he had put forward to her the last time still stood, so now she had to agree to go to college and get a degree no matter what she chose, or she could just stay out. My sister tried to argue and fight her way back into the family, but my dad was pretty adamant, so once again she was supposed to leave. This time she said that she was never going to come back again. For the next 15 years, we would only see her at family events, but never otherwise. Whenever she had a life update, we would find out about it from other relatives because she refused to speak to us. My mom and I tried to contact her several times, but because we were still on good terms with my father, she refused to speak to us as well. I have to say she was really proud, and she stuck to her words. She did not come back until my dad tried to reestablish contact with her himself. She kind of worked her life out on her own, although not quite in the way that I would have expected her to. Like she had promised us, she did not go to college because she just wasn't interested. However, for a few months she stayed with her buddy, and then she acquired a job and started working for herself to afford the life that she wanted. I think it was very good for her because along the line, I guess she developed a lot. She jumped between jobs rather frequently, but for the previous couple of years, she had been working at an advertising agency. My family knows all of this about her since she did maintain touch with the rest of our family, and our relatives would keep us updated. She knew about it. About a year ago, my dad felt dangerously ill, and we almost thought that we would lose him because he was having a lot of problems with his heart. The cardiologist told us that it was not looking too good for him until he implemented some serious lifestyle changes. During that time, when he thought that it was over, my dad decided to finally contact my sister and end the bad blood between the two of them. Because my sister had grown up tremendously over the course of the past 15 years, she ultimately decided to come back and become a part of the family again. The day that she visited us, she came alone, and we did not chat much about her life because we were just too busy reminiscing about the past. She did not want to make it all about herself, so Mom did not tell us much about anything else that she had been up to. The knowledge that we did not learn from our family, we knew how she was doing professionally, we just didn't know anything about her personal life. Anyway, she just seemed delighted to be back, and all of us were focused on the reconciliation between father and daughter. I was delighted about everything at the time, despite not knowing what was going to happen. It was a really emotional reunion. We were all shocked when she brought her fiancé with her when she came to see us a second time. She informed us that she had been seeing her fiancé for the last 3 years and that their engagement had only recently occurred. They had been keeping it under wraps so no one else in the family knew about it, and that's why we hadn't been able to find out either. The knowledge did not only come from her to us, she also knew that our father was experiencing health issues because of our family. She had not bothered to see us, though, because she was unsure of how serious it was. She also believed that it was inappropriate to announce the engagement at the time, so she kept it a secret. However, she now thought it was appropriate to welcome him into the family, so she had therefore brought him along. His clothes, watch, and shoes gave me the impression that he was a well-off man. He also seemed like a pleasant guy. My sister seemed to be finally dating the kind of guy she wanted to be with, so I was thrilled for her, someone who had his future planned out, understood what he wanted to do with his life, and was financially secure. Once we spoke with both of them, we learned that her fiancé was the son of a rather affluent man who owned a series of fast food businesses, exactly like her first partner. But this guy really looked to be serious about her, unlike her prior lover. Furthermore, it was evident to us that they were truly in love. I was sincerely pleased for her and congratulated the two of them, my sister and her fiancé, as well as my father. It never occurred to me to do what they did. However, after only 3 weeks of getting to know them, my father made the snap decision that it would be better if we allowed them to take over our company as well. He simply contacted me one morning to say he needed to chat about something and asked me to come home. Since I was the one who had been handling things ever since, I was at work at the time. My dad's heart condition had gotten worse, and at that point, I was essentially in charge, although he hadn't formally retired yet. I was certain that it would eventually happen, and I was sure I would be the next in line to take over as our company CEO. However, everything changed on that one day, and my sister and her fiancé found themselves in the running to inherit the company I had been managing for so long. My sister and her fiancé weren't home when I got to my parents' house that day, but my parents were, and they didn't look good. My dad finally delivered a fatal blow after some small conversation, and I honestly believed he was kidding. But I just couldn't believe it when I found out he was serious. After only 3 weeks of getting to know this guy, I questioned him about why he would make such a decision, and he refused to give me an explanation. But after a long argument, he finally admitted to me that he thought my sister and her fiancé would be more capable than I was, which is why he was giving them the business instead of me as promised. The icing on the cake was that, given that they would be starting a new chapter in their lives by getting married in a few months, he thought this would be a gift welcoming the two of them back into the family. He thought this might be a gift for their wedding. I attempted to persuade him that despite the guy's seeming affluence, a wedding gift did not have to be the size of an entire company. Furthermore, he had consistently misled me into thinking that I would be the one to inherit it when he finally did retire. This was a fact upon which my entire life had been based, and now he was taking it from me and giving it to strangers. Throughout the last 15 years, since we were talking about my future, I tried to encourage him to consider making us business partners and tried to haggle and bargain with him. My sister's fiancé's father had already built something of his own, so he knew that they would be able to expand our jewelry business twice as quickly as I could. However, my father was quite firm about what he believed and said that he was going to let them take over because he believed it would be in better hands. I was genuinely devastated that day when I asked him for one more chance, but he was simply not ready to hear me. Not only was I disappointed that I was losing out on something so significant, but I was also disappointed that I had invested 12 years of my life in this and received nothing in return. My father would not have booted me out of the company if he had any regard for the kind of labor and effort I had put into it, so I hadn't even been able to gain his respect. I just had nothing left to say to my family, so that's when I made the decision to sever all ties with them. My sister also let me down because they happily accepted this so-called wedding gift, which was my life's labor, even though I had expected her to at least stand up for me. My sister had always known that when my dad retired, I planned to take over the family business. Since I was 13, I had been talking about it incessantly and had always looked forward to it. Therefore, it wasn't as though she was unaware that in receiving the wedding gift, she was appropriating my dreams and making them her own. She announced her engagement along with a social media message in which she expressed her gratitude to our parents for this. No one in the family cared to get in touch with me after that. That, in my opinion, was the most painful aspect of all, the way they seemed to not even give a damn about me. They stopped talking to me the day I left the altercation at my father's house, and I felt as though my 12 years of existence had been completely wasted and that I had been used. I felt like everything had fallen apart, so I was just grateful that I had enough savings to fall back on for a few months. I could afford to do nothing except try to put my life back together after that, which was 8 months ago. I began therapy because I could sense that I was depressing myself and that I needed to get help. Right now, I'm not sure what I would have done, and seeing all the posts my sister would publish made me feel very ill. Therefore, I had to stop her. In addition, I had to inform my family that I had lost contact with them and that I was no longer interested in hearing from them. I guess I didn't want to know about anything my family was doing, so I actually asked them not to inform me about anything, no matter how huge it seemed, and they respected my request by keeping everything a secret from me. Therefore, I was unaware that my dad's health had been rapidly declining over the previous few months, and that my sister and her fiancé couldn't have cared less about any of it. I was completely unaware of all of it until a week ago when my father called me. He informed me that he had gone into the hospital due to a heart arrest that had occurred in the middle of the night and asked me to visit him there. He had to use someone else's phone to call me because I had blocked his number. To be really honest, I felt terrible about it. However, my remorse diminished when I recalled what he had done to me 8 months prior. Nevertheless, he once called to let me know that he was having pain. I assured him that I would visit him immediately. I decided to check him out in the hospital after leaving everything behind. To my amazement, neither my sister nor her fiancé could be found anywhere. My parents were present, which confused me a little because, in my opinion, they were all rather close. I couldn't resist questioning them about my sister and her fiancé's whereabouts because they were managing the family business. My father informed me, very disappointed, as soon as I entered the hospital room that both my sister and her fiancé appeared to be too busy to visit him. Having run the business for 12 years, I found that shocking because it's a lucrative venture that essentially runs itself. We also don't have to be there at all unless there's a serious issue to handle. That was the case at least when I was in charge. I am unable to comment on the current situation. In any case, I asked my dad whether they had visited him at the hospital since he suffered the heart attack, and he said that no, they hadn't gone down there because they were too busy to come see him. After he had called, they had simply texted him back saying they were too busy to come see him until he was released from the hospital. I was shocked to learn this information, and I believe my dad recognized he had made a serious mistake in letting my sister and her fiancé take over the company. He then admitted to me that this was a major factor in why he had called to repent for what he had done. He told me that despite all of my effort and hard work, he was truly sorry and felt awful about kicking me out of the company. But now he wanted to invite me back into the family company to make amends with me. He informed me of what had transpired. My sister and her fiancé had failed to show up for him at the hospital. It had dawned on him that they did not care about him in the same manner that I had. Additionally, he informed me that they had been somewhat distant from him for the past few months, and that this was not even the first time they had declined to attend to him. He told me they had stopped seeing him as much after he gave them the business. Previously, they would have gone to see him every other day to see how he was doing, and this was what they were doing when his health first began to fail. Since they lived only a few blocks from my parents' house, he and I both knew that nobody was so busy that they couldn't take out an hour from their day, especially them. They did not bother to come and visit him and always claimed that they were too busy at work, which he does not believe. He never mentioned it, though, because at this point, they had gone too far, and my dad could no longer stand this kind of disrespect. He so desired to reclaim his business and deliver it to the rightful owner. We talked about all of this in the hospital ward, and I was ecstatic when he welcomed me back to rejoin the company. Even though I'm still not entirely over it, I did forgive him at the time when he expressed regret for everything because, to me, nothing was more important than getting back what I was rightfully due. I was prepared to forgive my father if it was necessary for that reason. The issue now is that although he has always cared for his daughter, she has never supported him, and he can no longer stand this kind of disrespect. He has discussed this with my sister as well and has told her that he wants them to move on. Thus, he was requesting his business back and releasing it to the rightful owner, so they could take care of themselves. My sister is upset, which is not unusual, and she believes that I am the cause of her problems. She really went off on me when I called her this morning, calling me a disgusting person and saying she couldn't believe I was treating her so badly. I'm not really sure why she's getting so worked up over it. I have the impression that there is something unknown to us. Still, she's behaving as though I'm to blame for everything that she's lost. To be honest, though, I believe that she should take responsibility for not visiting our father in the hospital. A heart arrest is a serious matter after all. Additionally, she could have gone to see him by taking time off from work. It was she who acted self-servingly, and now I am receiving what I had rightfully earned all along. 8 months prior, she felt she didn't deserve the present, but she had no trouble receiving it at all. Therefore, why should I ignore something that I truly deserve? She's upset about it, to be honest, and I tried to comfort her, but she hung up on me mid-sentence. I'm starting to wonder if I'm the evil guy because it seems like I always have to take the blame for her when something goes wrong, and this is just getting to me. Thank you. Am I the a-hole for letting my father request that my sister and her fiancé leave the family business so that I may acquire it? First update, I sincerely appreciate all of your responses to my post. Even though I kind of felt I didn't deserve the criticism from my sister, hearing it from you solidified my beliefs more. Still, I am at a loss for words. If even total strangers with no knowledge of our life believe that I deserve the business, furthermore, I believe I should. My last communication with my sister was a few days ago, and I haven't heard back from her since. Fortunately, she hasn't blocked me anywhere. However, I can't help but feel that there's more to this story than what she's giving us. No one with a wealthy fiancé would behave in such a manner, in my opinion. I'm not sure if she lost out on our business, but I have a theory that her fiancé might be up to something more than meets the eye. In the original post's comment area, a few of you had asked me about this. At the time, I didn't think it was relevant, so I didn't respond. However, based on what I've heard, his dad's company has been suffering losses for the past year or so, and I don't think that her fiancé and his family are doing well financially right now. I believe that they did this to surreptitiously get into our family business and finally assume control. I can't quite put my sister's behavior in context or figure out why she did it. She was asked to leave when she learned that I was being asked to return to the family business. If her fiancé is wealthy and has his own business, she doesn't need to be concerned. Still, she remained inconsolable. There was just something off. Furthermore, I believe she will eventually come around and tell us about it. We are fortunate that my father refrained from signing any contracts or paperwork and did not formally transfer ownership of the company to my sister and her fiancé, as it may have led to significant difficulties for us. He remained the chief executive officer. All they were doing was filling my old role, but under him. He was preparing them to take over in the future, but I don't think that will happen now. My father informed me that although my sister is very distressed, he is not able to take care of her at this time. His only concern is getting everything signed over to me so I can take care of it all. That is what he intends to do. He's already conferring with an attorney and drafting the necessary paperwork so that I can assume control as soon as feasible. It can also be formalized and made official. All I can say is that I'm thrilled. My sister's dramatic reaction doesn't seem like it will stop me from enjoying this at this moment. Second update. Hello, it has been a few weeks since my last post on this blog. I wanted to let you all know that I have taken over as my dad's new CEO of the jewelry company. It feels wonderful to announce that the transition is now complete and that I am now formally in charge. I was certain that this day would arrive, but my sister's visit caused a few delays in the proceedings. I suppose I can finally state that she is not happy about all of this. My hypothesis was correct. In reality, she and her fiancé were working very cunningly to infiltrate our family business and take control, so they would have a source of income when her fiancé's father eventually parted ways with him. My sister was the one who had instilled in my father the notion of accepting them back into the family by transferring the company to his prospective son-in-law, and he had regrettably fallen for it. My father informed me that he was not thinking clearly when I only recently learned about all of this. He was being avaricious because he had somehow thought that a man from a well-known business family would be more capable of managing everything than I would be. He had initially planned to keep me in the role I had been in up until that point, but he lost his cool when I told him I wasn't interested in the firm if I didn't end up as its leader, which resulted in these 8 months of complete agony for both of us. Fortunately, he realized his mistake just in time, and we managed to avert a major catastrophe. My sister's fiancé and his father currently have zero market credibility. People have been telling me that his father's company is about to close, but I hadn't believed them because I knew that my father would get in touch with me if something like this happened, and he had assumed that I would get in touch with him if something this significant was going to occur. Therefore, it was quite stupid of us that neither of us reached out to the other. However, my sister has finally acknowledged what she was attempting to accomplish and set aside her ego in order to talk to me. Just before it was official that I would be the CEO, she contacted me a few days prior. She informed me that she and her fiancé were in dire need of work because they didn't know how long his dad would be able to work. She was pleading for assistance now, so I told her I would give it some thought. I don't mind employing them, it's just that I will never ever be able to put my trust in them again because I was aware of their initial motivations. That's the reason I'm currently experiencing some strange feelings. While I really want to support her, how can I even hire someone I don't trust? In any case, she has so far consented to give me some time as I asked her to. However, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Third update. Hi everyone. I have made the decision not to hire my sister and her fiancé. I realized that some people would probably think I'm very self-centered, but in all honesty, I can't trust these folks. They had first accepted my dad's offer to take over the company, and for the next 8 months, they didn't even attempt to get in touch with me. They have no empathy or sympathy for anyone but themselves, and I don't want those kinds of people around me or employed by me. I had to break my heart to my sister and tell her that I was unable to assist her. It's clear that she did not take it well. The other day, she stormed into my office and began screaming, calling me a greedy and hateful person. She expressed regret to me for ever having allowed me to have the company again. That seems strange to me because she had no involvement in that. Being the head, it was my father's decision, and regardless of what he said, it was not mine. She is not in charge of it at this time, so it was absurd of her to appear as though she had done me a great favor. All of that I could have put up with, however, I found that remark to be incredibly annoying. I told her that as of now, she had done me no favors. She also didn't seem to care about me earlier. Therefore, it's quite naive of her to anticipate that I will reciprocate. She screamed at me and refused to answer my polite questions. She was completely destabilizing me. I couldn't take any more drama, so I made the decision to phone the police and have her removed. I basically don't need this right now because I'm already somewhat busy at work. She simply departed as the police arrived, though she had nothing else to say. A few days have passed since then, and she hasn't responded to us. Therefore, I think she should go away and leave us alone. Furthermore, I won't care if she doesn't because I'll obtain a restraining order against her.